ECG customers from Akonsombo and environs stormed the premises of the main power generator, VRA, in protest of high electricity costs. Meanwhile, Energy Minister Boakye Agyarko is worried the challenges confronting the electricity company of Ghana, if not cured immediately, may lead to its collapse.
The last time I checked, ECG, for example, had a negative working capital of 2 billion cedis. I didn't say million, 2 billion cedis negative working capital.
Well, while government announces of investigations into some 127 deaths in government books, Energy Minister is charging the Public Utility Regulatory Commission to be transparent in calculating the use of power.
An oracle when it comes to electricity bills. Is it 59%? Is it 54%? We don't know. But we are entitled as citizens to know. So my plea to PURC is put that thing on your website.
So what is the fate of the electricity company of Ghana, and how will the challenges facing the main power distributor affect the power supply in the country? The bigger question, will Ghana ever be able to deal with her power crisis anytime soon? We'll be probing the issue further and hear from the Energy Minister plus Senior Minister, as well as some insights from some power brokers on the matter. This is today's big story. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Ghana's energy supply has been erratic for the past 4 years, a development that is largely blamed on the inefficiency of ECG. Today, not even the police could stop angry residents of Akonsombo and environs from protesting against what they claim is the high cost of electricity tariffs. Let's get some sights and sounds from those people sharing their frustrations. Meanwhile, Power Minister Boakye Agyarko has revealed the country's power distributor is currently operating with a capital deficit of 2 billion, a situation he says threatens ECG's survival. Let's hear from the Energy Minister, Boakye Agyarko.
21% of power supplied to ECG is lost. Every percentage point of power lost is the equivalent of 60 million cedis. I am not saying that ECG should not lose any power at all. Technical losses you can't do anything about. It is in the nature of the beast. But to lose 21% of what you are given to sell, by definition, ipso facto makes you unprofitable. We need to fix that. Part of the innovation, therefore, as we improve the reliability and availability of power, is to fix the balance sheet of our distribution entities, NETCO, ECG. I would challenge all of you to go look at the balance sheet or the financials, audited financials of those two companies. The last time I checked, ECG, for example, had a negative working capital of 2 billion cedis. I didn't say million, 2 billion cedis negative working capital. It tells you that your receivables are more than your payables. But it also tells you a story that any receivable aged past 180 days is a write-off. And some of these receivables, I dare say, go back to 6 years. Now, if somebody owes you money and they haven't paid you in 6 years, the chance of collecting that money is either slim or none.
So that was Energy Minister Boakye Jako registering his frustration with what has happened to the ECG now. And he says failure to do so will risk collapsing the ECG. Kojo, we all share in his concerns. But first, how did we get here?
Well, we all know how we got here. We've basically taken a government entity, as we always call it, Abayajuma, and it's happened to every single entity. The only reason ECG is still standing because government cannot afford to let ECG collapse, because if it does collapse, then the country collapses, because energy is the backbone of our development. So we've propped up ECG to the point where somebody is saying that, look, these are the facts. And we all know what is wrong with ECG. Look, there isn't a single person at home today who doesn't know that ECG has their problems. But it's just all of a sudden, when somebody stands at the podium to now reiterate them and shout them out loud, it's becoming like it's something new to us. Who doesn't know that ECG has problems with revenue collection? Who doesn't know that ECG is not able to do the task that is given them? Client services, we go to their customer service, and we know the reception we get when we get there. When your meter, there is overloading, there is high current or low current, something goes through your system, and you can wake up one morning and everything in your house is fried, okay? Because there's high surge of current. Who do you complain to? So we know the problems with ECG, but the question is that, what do we do about it, and how do we go about it?
Fair enough. We know the problems of ECG.
Yes.
And for the benefit of my viewers, let me introduce Kojo Poko. He is a power analyst or energy analyst, and he's a friend to today's week, and JoyNews as a whole. But you talk about, once we are aware of the problems, it means that we should be gearing towards getting strategies to resolve these problems.
Well,
what have we done about these
years
so far?
upon years, they've tried various things. Look, and ECG has gone from a corporation to a limited liability. They've tried to use what they call business units. They tried the Ashanti region as a module to try and see, look, how do we incorporate efficiency? From what the minister said, 22%. If they aggregate, there's a level of technical losses, which is energy that is lost in transmission in both the wires and the technical stuff that they have.
Okay.
A certain percentage is lost. Then there is the commercial losses of the people stealing electricity, doing direct wiring, bypassing the meter and all that. So you aggregate the technical losses and the commercial losses, 22%. So in the morning when we wake up, if the generator sends 1 million Ghana cedis worth of electricity to Electricity Corporation of Ghana, which is the electricity company of Ghana, 22% of it is lost on the top.
Right.
So what the minister is trying to say is that, how do we now resolve this problem? Because as a country, if we keep accumulating this problem over and over again, we're going to get to a point where the country or the company cannot run anymore, accompanied with government inability to pay its indebtedness to ECG. So that is why there's all these media PSP thing going on, that they are trying to say, look, let a private company comes in and then take the company for 20 years, run it efficiently. If government owes, the private participant will go and collect his money. Okay. If it's you and I that owe, they'll go and collect. Look, there are big names in this country that owe ECG. MTN, we are being told that, well, they are sitting around the table and negotiating with them.
But interestingly, the last time the minister made the point that MTN says we're waiting for ECG to bring us the bill for us to pay. And they're told that the one who's supposed to prepare the bill is on leave.
Well, I honestly, look, I don't want to get into who said and who said, but let's make it a point. If you are MTN and ECG cuts your bill, cuts your electricity, where do you go? Do you have to wait them to bring you a bill?
No.
Exactly. So if ECG, if me and you owes, isn't our light cut off? And does ECG bring us a bill, or we have prepaid, or whenever your lights are cut out, you go and they tell you that if you don't pay all, we will not connect you. So why doesn't ECG go and cut MTN and let MTN come to them.
That's exactly the point I'm making, that ECG is not forthcoming, because if you don't present to me a bill, on what basis will I walk into your premises
That is the point.
to say I'm going to pay for a bill?
I don't want to personalize it into MTN alone, because there are various number of companies in that segment.
And there are those who feel that, okay, so private company comes to manage for 20 years and gives it back to Ghanaians. Well, whether they will take us back to ground zero or not.
No, they wouldn't. How would they take us to see what everybody who, look, there is government and there are stakeholders. Okay, stakeholders involve the labor unions, private people like myself, well-learned people within ASEP, Imani, and all the learned people in the country are saying that, look, we are all getting together to make sure that we've learned the lessons from Uganda, India, and all the other countries where their private sector participation had failed because they didn't learn the lessons from the past. People have gone there, learn all those. Your good friend, Mr. Nyantechi, Mike Nyantechi, the labor leader, has been to all these countries. They've learned the lessons. They've come back and told us, look, if you don't do X, Y, Z, the private sector participation will not succeed.
Right.
So government, we are pushing government to make sure that the fine print is put in place so that when we now say that somebody is going to invest $500 million so in 5 years into this private sector participation, it will be invested.
Okay,
and
let's get into the technicalities. The minister says that to be able to turn around ECG will require balancing or fixing the balance sheets. What exactly is he talking about?
It's lack of financing. Look, the reason there is power surge, the reason there is low current, the reason we get lights off, recently because of the rains, we've been getting lights off a lot.
Definitely.
And people will call and say, oh, is doom so bad? It's not. It's the type of machines that we have.
But the day the whole country went off, there was no rains.
No, there was. The clouds were very, 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 there were lightning in all over areas. I live in a place in Accra where the little time there's rain. So there was lightning everywhere, and it was a power surge that caused the lightnings in the sky. Okay. Now, the minute there are these power surges, there are these lightnings, most of our machines now will trigger itself off because the lightning can damage these machines. Okay. We are in a scenario where they need massive investment. Over $500 million to $1 billion is needed to change the transformers, the substations, to make sure that we get stable power in Accra. The minister puts it at $75 million for 3 substations in Accra alone. Right. And that's why he's saying, look, it needs money. Government doesn't have the money. And even if government did, would government build polyclinics? Or will government build something that a private sector like myself can come into and make money off it? So government is trying to take itself out of it, bring in a private sector participant who will see the business side of it and try to make money. People think that ECG is supposed to be a social thing where, oh, yes, it's for the vulnerable, ECG, if you don't have money.
Is that what it
says? People, no, it's not. But people have that thinking that ECG is not only for, it's a lifeline. Water is lifeline. Electricity is not lifeline. You don't have money, your light should go off. That's what I believe.
And what's the role of government in this?
The role of government is to make sure that there's a prevailing and enabling environment for businesses to thrive. Look, I always tell people that my good brother Kofi Kapito, who is a consumer protection, always calls me and fights with me when I say this. When you get to the distribution end of the electricity chain, you need to mobilize and get the money back for the generator. Okay. Because the generator has produced 1 million Ghana cedis worth of electricity. He needs it back. So when he gives it to you, the ECG, who's a distributor and revenue collector, it's not that place you're going to do social welfare and actually. So you need to be able to collect that money back and give it back to the VRA
but I thought
and all
that
those
was
companies.
The reason why government came in to subsidize.
No, subsidy is for the lifeline, the Mobrowa of society.
Definitely.
People who don't have.
So if ECG is not running Mobrowa Association, then government should come in to help such
people.
people.
The Mobrowa Association will still be there. That's the work of PRC. And you remember the minister said that he taxed PRC to come up with what people have to pay. Right. That subsidy, at any point in time, I don't think that lifeline would ever be taken, be it private sector participation or not. Government will still have a responsibility to make sure that the Mobrowa in society gets the subsidy, be it government owing ECG or not. That will never go away. What is going to go away is that if you are company A and you have money, you are Adjoa Mansa who live in a residential area and you have money, no matter the political clouds that you have, if you owe, your light will be disconnected.
Your light will be disconnected. But as to whether we have a master plan to deal with all of these, it's a question many are asking. But the minister has hinted of an introduction of a master plan to properly align all issues of the power sector. Let's listen to the minister on this.
As we move in this direction, we also need to understand the need to move part of our gas up country. For example, it is important to establish a generation load in the Ashanti-Brahafo region in order to properly balance the load distribution and the grid stability. We also need to start piping gas all across the country if we are supposed to move from wood fuels, charcoal, wood fuels, and what have you, into LPG. Construction of such critical infrastructure will be a good business opportunity for those who care to invest. The policy goal is to attain and maintain adequate generation reserves and margins. That means we have to complete the power generation projects currently under construction, progressively reduce the role of government in guaranteeing power sector capital projects and work towards eliminating this in the shortest possible term, and explore and develop clean coal technology and nuclear power generation options to diversify our energy generation mix and to ensure low-cost power supply in the long term. The opportunities that exist are as government exit out of the thermal markets, it opens up the space for private capital in that market. All power will now be competitively procured. We will also use standardized procedures and documentation so that all the liquidity and security documentation that comes with power procurement will be standardized. Investor A faces the same standard documents as Investor B. It levels the playing field and it lowers the cost of transaction.
All right, so that was Boache Jaco once again talking about some of the things we need to do critically to ensure that we don't go back to square one. But I know you have been part of the MCC negotiations. What do you think should entail or should be involved in this master plan, and how should it be implemented?
Well, I have not been part of the MCC negotiation. That's a very higher level negotiation. Okay. I'm not in government. Okay. I mean, I would love to be part of it, but I'm not. What we are part of is a stakeholder. Okay. You know, stakeholders involve Imani, ASEP, Puhu, and all the people who feel that in the past, these things was not done well. And the stakeholder, we've come together and we call it COSECA, a coalition of stakeholders against the concession. So we basically did not like the way things were going, and we are trying to correct and involve government and engage media and all the people involved to make sure that the right thing is done for Mother Ghana. Now, for what you talked of, one of the good things this minister has and this administration has is that from 2012 to 2016, NDC government faced a daunting task. They had no lights. They had the infrastructure. They went all out and built the infrastructure because we didn't have lights. And in some cases, they even overdid it because they've signed too many PPAs. They engaged too many companies to build these power plants under the emergency power plant. And now, even if you look at it, we have more than we need, okay? And most of them have been now signed under take or pay. So if care is not taken, you have all these plants like a Mary sitting there, and every month, if you don't use them, you will pay them a certain amount of money every month. And what the government is trying to do now is that, look, let's review these contracts. Let's not do take or pay. Let's do take and pay. So if you build a plant or the plant that is sitting there and nobody is using it, what happens is that they don't pay you any money whilst you sit there and are not generating. Now, the next part of it is that because we are not tasked with concentrating in putting on infrastructure, now you can plan long term. So this government is tasked with medium to long-term planning. And if they get it wrong, and it's their own peril, because look, your predecessor have done well to put infrastructure. Yours is to make sure that for security, like he talked of gas having to be pumped up country so that we'll have generation in the middle belt. All our generation in Ghana, except Biu and Akosombo, I think all the thermals are in the coastal area, which is not good for the country. So Ghana Gas have sent pipeline to Pristina, where they're going to build some thermal plants there. And there's talk of extending it further to up country so that we would have a balance in the load. So not everything is generated in the south and transmitted to the north.
Over there.
Those are the master plan that this government should be able to get it right.
But he talks about henceforth procuring power competitively through the standard or the standardized procedure.
Yes.
What are the standards?
Okay, now in the past, if you needed to get government guarantee, you go and negotiate, and based on who you talk to, you are taken to PULC, and the PPA is signed on one-to-one basis, and each criteria is different from the next person. What I think the policy they are trying to put out there is to standardize. If you need government's guarantee, that is. You remember the vice president came out and said that they're going to put a cap of 10 cents on all PPAs.
Exactly.
That was for only companies that need government approval, like Early Power and Amerian or Car Power, that goes into Parliament and seek approval for that investment. Then the government is saying that, look, if I'm going to give you a guarantee for the investment, then I will not let you charge me more than 10 cents. But the renewables and all the other generations, which doesn't fall under companies that want government guarantee, they will be negotiated differently. But the standard that they want to do is have similar thing that we have in the upstream oil and gas system, where there is a format of the petroleum bill where anybody who comes in to negotiate for a block, there are set fiscal policies that applies to you so that it is not dealt with in the individual company basis.
Okay. There are those who've complained about not knowing exactly what it is. If I buy my credit, I know I have probably 50 units or something like that. I don't know how that works. If I own my fridge for a day, how many units will get out of my credit? We just don't know how to translate it. And today I was very happy when the energy minister, hit hard on PURC because it's long overdue. Let's listen to the minister charging PURC to be transparent in their billings.
I had a recent short discussion with a gentleman from PURC, and I said, what I'm looking for is for PURC to be able to put on their website an interactive use calculator so that I can go to the PURC website and say that I've consumed 300 kilovolts of power, put that number in, and it should tell me how much I owe in electricity bills. It shouldn't be as if we are consulting an oracle when it comes to electricity bills. Is it 59%? Is it 54%? We don't know. But we are entitled as citizens to know. So my plea to PURC is put that thing on your website and let everybody go and look at their meter and say that from yesterday to today I consumed 100 units, and if I put that 100 units in, it translates to me the amount in cedis that I owe ECG.
And which I totally agree with the minister.
Well, it's not as simple as he makes it sound. Your electricity bill has various components. Okay. There are taxes, there are other bands within which you fall, and quite a lot goes into it. So yes, maybe they can come up with a software. Look, human beings are going to Moon and Mars. So I don't think the software cannot be made where you put in certain parameters and you can get an estimation of what your bill is supposed to be. But it's a software that will have to be built for PULC. I don't think it's an off-the-shelf software that you can get. But it can be done if we put our mind to it.
Yes.
And something I realized recently, PULC, I just found out, it's not even under the Ministry of Energy.
Okay.
It's under the Vice President's office. So,
wow.
Yes, so PULC is not even under the Ministry of Energy, it's under the Vice President's office. So the minister does not have a direct oversight.
Then that's a misplaced
priority.
priority.
It's not. I don't know why they put it under the Vice President's office, but it's a regulator of some sort. The Energy Commission is under Ministry of Energy, but PULC the minister does not have a direct oversight. So that's why I think he's tasking them to make sure that they do this sort of innovation so Ghanaians can go to a website or an app. You can download the app and you can monitor what you want to use day by day or month by month.
I think it will be a good idea.
No, it will be a good idea. But I think it will just give you an estimation because there's quite a number of factors that go into it.
At least if you have a fair idea, we will prevent some of these agitations because you buy credit today and in the next 5 days, you buy 200 cedis, in the next 5 days, your credit is finished and you are like, how did I use it? But if you know how it all goes, at least you have a fair idea.
Yeah, there's this paper that tells you various units that is consumed by various appliances that you get when sometimes
even that is technical. You may need a technical eye to explain that to you.
Yes,
As I stand here, I may be able to understand to a certain point, but I bet you I can't understand everything that goes on. But let me play the devil's advocate very briefly. Would we ever be able to move from the dark?
Yes. You see, at present, we are not in the dark. We have challenges with technical issues with maybe obsolete machinery, maybe weather problems where it rains, some trees will fall on wires and stuff like that.
Will it be anytime soon?
Yes. I think that we don't have capacity issue. We don't have capacity issue. Fuel issue, yes, on and off, but we don't have capacity issue. So gradually, we are going away from this problem. Now, if your light goes off, you realize that it doesn't take us long to come back on because in terms of generation, we have installed capacity. It's the four challenges that government is trying to come up with, and that is where the money issue of the indebtedness in the sector comes in. If they find the money and they say they can't find it, they have a minister in charge of that to find the money. If they do that, then there will be liquidity, and I don't see what the challenges will be in the sector. But yes, gradually we can move away from the darkness issue.
All right, many thanks to you. Kojo Poku is an energy analyst, and he's been talking about some of the things we can do. But I'm grateful and very happy that he says we'll ever move out from the darkness. And of course, the MCC 2 will be ready in September. Hopefully, if it comes on board, we're told that it will make a huge difference once it comes on board. My name is Aisha Brian. Many thanks for watching. Have a great evening.